everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 21 of the holiday card series for 2017. Today I'm going to be making a card completely from scratch with no stamps or dies, and I'm starting out with some watercolor paper. This is Arch's cold press watercolor paper, and at the beginning here I had it as a card front with it scored and folded, and I taped it down, but eventually I will cut this down and then adhere it to a regular card stock. So I'm taking this circle die and I'm just using it as a to trace it. You could definitely use anything that's circular for this. You could use a cup or a mug or a bowl or anything that has a circular shape. I just needed that on there. Then I'm going to take this watercolor set from Sakura Koi, and I'm going to use just a few different colors from this, mostly blues, blacks, and purples. And I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to start painting that area above the circle. That circle is actually going to eventually become a snowman, like the top portion of a snowman. So I wanted to create kind of like a nighttime color scheme. And I switched my brush here a couple times, and it kind of messes up the painting here. You can see that area up near the top of the screen where it's just, you can really tell that I messed up there. So that actually prompted me to add on darker colors. And in the end, I really enjoyed having all the darker colors on top here. So I'm sort of happy that that little accident happened, because it prompted me to add even more intense saturated color. So I first dried that layer, and I'm going to come in with a purple shade, and I just picked a nice deep purple, and I'm going to go over that same area, doing kind of curved, very slightly curved C shapes. And so it kind of mimics the top curve of that snowman. I did a similar background technique in the day one holiday card series video for this year, where I did a really tall, skinny card, and it had sort of that same curved shape to it. I just think it's really, really beautiful and adds a little bit of interest to a sky scene. So I'm going to dry this with my heat tool again so that it's dry. And then I'm going to do some more details on the snowman down below. So I'm going to take a nice orange shade and paint on a simple carrot. And then I'm going to wet the areas on his cheeks and drop in just a little bit of a red shade that's really watered down, so it's really more pink than red. That's going to give him just a tiny bit of a blush. Then I took a dark gray and it did the bottom, like just the top portion of his smile. Like the whole idea behind this is that he's sort of peeking up from the bottom of the card. So I added some eyes, and now I'm taking some Finetec pearlescent watercolor paints. I'm going to use this gold shade here, and I'm actually going to be brush lettering on a greeting that just says Happy Holidays. Now I did sort of pencil on a little bit of my greeting, but it was very hard to see, so I did actually end up kind of just going for this without any plan in general. But if you can actually get away with penciling on your greeting and you're able to see it, I really advise doing that, because you'll get your spacing a little bit better. But it was really hard for me to see in my lighting in my craft room over this dark area. It was hard to see the pencil lines. So I'm just using a size 2 watercolor brush. This is a Royal & Langnickel Zen Line brush, and this is a size 2, and I'm just painting on. I really wanted these letters to be a little bit whimsical. They didn't need to be precise or really perfect. I just think they turned out great. Now, if you don't want to do lettering like this for your snowman card, or if you want to create something similar and you don't want to do all of the lettering, you could definitely use a large greeting stamp or some alphabet stamps or anything like that, or even just add your own greeting on top using, like a tag or something like that. I think that would look really great. I just really loved the whimsical look of this handwritten greeting filling up the entire top area of this card. And to fill in some of those gaps around the words, I decided to bring in some loops and little swashes, just trying to fill out that entire area. This one at the top looks a little bit awkward, so I think if I was doing this card again, I probably would eliminate this little loop here at the top, but in the end, it's such a small detail, it really doesn't affect the main area of the card, so I just decided to leave it. Used my heat tool just to speed up the drying process on all of this gold watercolor paint. And then I went on to finishing up the rest of the card. I removed it from the board and I decided I wanted to finish off that smile at the very bottom, just extend it past that area that was underneath the tape. And I did that on both sides of the smile just so I could get it to be a little bit longer. Then I trimmed down this piece so that I got rid of all the white edges. And so technically, I guess I didn't need to paint the bottom portion of that smile because I did eventually cut off that area anyway. But I wanted to throw that in there because that was part of the thought process. As far as the card base goes, I'm making this out of some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock, and I just scored that at 5.5 to create a top folding card. Then I put some foam adhesive behind my watercolor piece and pressed that down onto the card front. So at this point, I decided to add some snowflakes. These could also be stars, but to me they look like snowflakes for sure because of the snowman. And this really finishes off all the details on the card. And I just used a Uniball Signo Broad white gel pen for that. So that is the card for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was a really fun card to make, and I think I might actually make it a few more times because it is really, really cute and fun. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back very soon with day 22 of the Holiday Card Series.